Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on in to another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the league podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 230, our 2026 Draft Day Prep and Strategy Show, and it's my great pleasure to welcome into the bar Mr. Bernie, aka Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How you doing today, Bernie?
I'm feeling very Nickel City gray today. Muted but comfortable.
Are you worried that you're going to give up some of your strategies to some competitors in our league?
Absolutely. So did I write a faux script or did I write the real deal?
All right. Well, we'll see here. All right. In this show, guys, we're going to start up by catching up with a lot of player news as we have a lot of drafts this weekend. So we want to get you up to date with the movers and shakers regarding the news. We'll also break down our draft day strategies, including our pre-draft prep, our in-draft hopes and dreams, some tips and tricks, and finally, we'll have a chance to get into this week's mailbag. But before we do any of that, I'd like to make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, Bernie, before we get into some of our draft day strategies in terms of prepping and how we handle the actual draft itself, I've noticed that there were some new rivalry uniforms unveiled the last couple days. Let's see if I can get a little picture there for our audience that are watching on the video here. There's 8 main ones that I see here. What's your thoughts in general on some of these new combo colors and fonts and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I like to see it on the field. I like to see it in action, see it under the lights, if you will. But I don't hate it. I like it. I think it all looks good. The Green Bay one stands out. I like that muted green a little bit. Obviously, the all white is very nice. The baby blue, the Oilers blue, the Carolina blue, whatever you want to call that blue is good. But I'm in. Maybe out of a J. Crew catalog almost.
I will say, so I didn't really pay attention to it too much until I saw someone breaking it down, and they're from Houston, a Houston fan, and they really broke it down, and they're like, this thing is perfect. All the little nods to the city. I didn't realize, I guess in Houston, their street signs are on the ground in blue and white tiles. So all the little checkered blue tile marks around the sleeves and on the numbers is a direct correlation to the street signs of the city. So that's a really kind of a nice nod. And the guy was mentioning one USA Today reporter was like, this is like really stupid. Only people in Houston would get this. And the guy's like, yeah, that's the whole point. These are city jerseys, you piece of crap. It's for the people of the city to appreciate these little nods to their hometown. The one that I noticed, another one here is the Chicago Bears. I didn't realize at first. I just saw the jersey, and then I realized that the orange helmets looking a little bit like Syracuse on this one. And the Jacksonville Jaguars with that teal helmet makes them look a little bit like they're wearing the Guardian caps. They're all wearing the oversized helmets with this bright blue helmet. It looks a little goofy to me.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. Now you realize it is the Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings, plus the whole AFC South, right? Colts, Jags, Texans, Titans.
I might have figured that out, but I didn't necessarily notice that.
Hence the rivalries. Each of them kind of breaks the look out exactly once, I believe, against the division rival. Then he goes right back to the closet till next year. So it's very wearing the fancy shirt to one wedding a year energy, in my opinion. If you got this cool outfit, wear it a couple times.
Which before we leave this little thing here, I know we're spending probably too much time. Which one's your favorite? Which one you're most excited to see on the field?
At a glance, honestly, it's probably going to be the Houston. But I do like, for some reason, I'm the yellow and green for some reason looks good. I maybe because it's faded and it looks muted. But I kind of like it.
It's kind of like that military kind of green almost.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's the old T-shirt in the back of the closet. Let's pull that out and wear that at a football game.
Now, we haven't talked about it yet this year,
Hmm.
We've got a different schedule to start out the season this year, guys, and we really got to pay attention. Usually it's Thursday night is opening night for the NFL season, but and then they've been adding a Friday or Saturday as an international game. But because they're playing, I guess, in Australia, which is, I guess, farther away than most, they're moving the international game to Thursday, which means the domestic opening night is on Wednesday night. That is a huge deal here. So don't get caught off guard here after your drafts and picking up waivers and stuff like that. What's your thoughts here? How many people are going to be surprised that the games are going to start Wednesday this year?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm conflicted both ways here. I guess every calendar kind of needs a plot twist. You know, it turns out that M Night Shyamalan just needed a football schedule, and you got a little plot twist at the end here. But uh, football has its rituals for a reason. You know, you don't see Bill Murray relearning life on a Tuesday in Groundhog Day, so some days just come pre-assigned. So let's not mess things up. So I'm conflicted both ways here.
And the other thing, this is not the only Wednesday game. I didn't look at the whole schedule, but I guess they're
Yeah,
giving Netflix the new day. There's going to be, I don't know how many. There's a Thanksgiving Eve game,
yeah,
maybe a Chris. I don't know. There's more than one based on either holidays and or timing throughout the year. There's going to be at least two more Wednesday games throughout the year. These guys, player safety, player safety, player safety, and they just give them less and less breaks before they have to come back and put their bodies under great duress once again.
yeah. Exactly. Football on a Wednesday just kind of feels wrong, though. You know, it's
Yeah.
like ordering a pumpkin spice latte in April. You know, some things are just supposed to stay on schedule because some of us run our lives on schedule.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, we're ready for football as soon as it comes back here, but I think they're already taking too many days, and now they're just keep stretching it out.
Exactly.
All right, guys, let's get into this week's player news. All right, we're gonna break these down in terms of positions because we have a lot of news, so we figure I'll break it down that way if you don't mind, Bernie. Starting off
No.
with
Yep.
quarterbacks, which is our lightest load here, so that's nice. Patrick Mahomes will not play in the team's final preseason game. He hasn't played in any preseason game. Keep in mind, at the moment, it's unclear if he'll be available for Week 1. Mahomes is coming off that ACL tear last year. Let's just break these quarterbacks one by one since there's
Yeah.
only three
Yeah.
here. What's your thoughts on Mahomes? Are you worried he's not going to play? I feel like there's no worry, but there's also been no assurances that he's going to be ready by Week 1.
Yeah, QB1 again, but the July discount is kind of gone, I think, here. The thing actually worth pricing is his offensive line. Andy Reid said on Wednesday, I believe, that the left tackle Simmons is getting his back examined and needs further testing. And Kansas City traded a 2028 seventh to the Giants for Joshua Azudu because the line's been banged up all camp. So thin at receiver as well. The knee looks fine to me, or you know, in general, I guess the knee looks fine. The protection is really the question here.
Do you expect him to play? I kind of
Yeah,
do, but I have no reason to really think that.
yeah. I mean, I expect him to play. He tore his ACL and an LCL in December, and he hasn't missed a single rep. So it's a good news, you know. Unlike the next guy we're going to talk about, who basically the same injury, I guess, and he hasn't even done anything.
Well, thinking of that, let's go on to our next team here. We've got the Falcons with Michael Penix has begun getting some practice work in. He's splitting the first team reps with Tua Tagovailoa. The Falcons have not yet, unless I've missed some late news this evening, have not named their Week 1 starter yet. One of the shows, another fantasy show I listen to, the Fantasy Footballers, they're combining, when you have those celebrity marriages, how they combine
Mhm.
their names,
Yeah,
like Bradgelina or something like that.
yeah.
They're calling the Penix Tua pairing Pua because they stink just like Kyle Stinky Pitts. What's your thoughts on this quarterback competition between Penix and Tua?
Just change my team name to Captain Obvious. Don't draft him as your starter, as far as Penix goes, or nor Tua,
Thank you.
for that matter. Uh, he had 3 days of team drills and no preseason snaps. It's not a quarterback you can trust in September. And there's a real chance here that Tua opens the season. The downstream questions matter most for your roster. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, their efficiency both shift depending on who's throwing. So you got to wait and see on this one.
That's crazy. Tua was coming out of this, going into the offseason here as pretty much the automatic starter, one, due to the injury to Penix and just the the before practice buzz, and the more and more they see this guy play, the less and less sure that he is going to be the opening day starter.
Well, no, that's the thing. Tua looks great in practice.
He's yeah.
We're not talking about practice.
I got one more here that I added since I gave you the
Yep.
news earlier today. I got Deshaun Watson was named the opening day starter for the Cleveland Browns. Back in the day, Bernie, for both of us, but more recently you, Deshaun Watson was a wingback mountain candidate as you
Yeah.
drafted him several times as he was starting to fade here. What's your thoughts? And he's been playing awful. He's been similar to Tua. He hasn't earned it, but they're going with the high priced veteran here on his last year for the Browns to have the starting for at least opening day anyway.
Yeah, there's something else going on here behind the scenes. This is a new head coach. The head coach isn't taking any flack for it. This shit's all going to come down to the GM and the owner, um, and Deshaun. I think something's going on behind the scenes. I can't confirm that. Nobody's talking about that. It's like Ian Rappaport or Schefter. But something's not copacetic here. I think that it's being forced upon this coach to get this guy as the starter, at least for the first game, because he definitely does not look like the starter. Sanders looks like the guy. I mean, he really does. He's making a couple mistakes here and there. One bad interception. They were talking about him spinning the ball in one of the games, but other former quarterbacks came out and be like, the only reason he would do that is because the ball was wet, sweat or something, and he needed to do it. He wasn't showing off or nothing like that. Um, yeah, this is a bad deal all around. Just don't draft Browns. It's simple for fantasy relevance. Don't draft any Browns.
I hear you. All right, we're gonna move on to our running backs here. I'm gonna try 3 at a time. See how this
Yeah,
goes.
yeah.
We're gonna do Brees Hall, who suffered that groin injury last week. He's not practicing still, and this is on his timetable, but he's expected to be ready for Week 1. Jeremiah Love, very similar in terms of he suffered that high ankle sprain in the first preseason game, or technically second, since they played the Hall of Fame game. Did not
Mhm.
require surgery, which is good news. And his Week 1 availability is still up in the air, but if he doesn't play Week 1, he should be ready pretty soon after that. And then Ashton Genty, we talked about him in our last show here, suffered that big scare during Sunday's practice where a lot of people were on tilt as some leagues had their draft during that vagueness of the news. Good news, I guess, he only has, I say only, an ankle sprain. It is not deemed a high ankle sprain. He is declared on the mend, although there hasn't been much clarity on the timetable for the sophomore running back's return. What do you
Yeah.
have on these 3 running backs who are going to be out for 3 to 5 weeks? We'll see if they get back on the field in time for Week 1.
Yeah, Brees Hall, he's a buy, not a fade. The wrinkle is behind him. Isaiah Davis is also hurt. So the healthy backs are Braylon Allen. This guy's name I can't. Keeney, Nwangu, Chip, Geranium, and Sam Scott. Sam Scott, I love this guy. So okay, back to it though. Braylon Allen went for 44 yards and a score on 4 carries in a preseason opener. If you roster Hall, Allen is the handcuff, and the room's thin enough that Allen is a standalone value if anything slips up with Brees Hall. Jeremiah Love, the week 1 door isn't shut, but it's closing fast, man. High ankle sprains typically run, like you said, 2 to 4 weeks, and he's on day 14 without full participation. Algier carries the load if Love isn't ready. James Conner, Trey Benson are both banged up, which makes Algier the actual pickup here. Love is still a season-long lead back. Just don't count on him in September. Genty,
I will add to
yep,
that real quick in terms of Trey
yep.
Benson. They actually cut him either late last night or early today, so it's
Ooh,
just James Conner.
okay,
He's not ready to play yet, right? Just to be,
gotcha.
just for clarity's sake.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. And Ashton Genty, he was going 13th overall as like RB 7th in averages. The realistic downgrade is modest, so this isn't structural, but chances he misses week 1 is the real cost at that price here. So the name to move on is rookie 4th rounder Mike Washington Jr. I'm giving away my secrets, Mike, who took the first team snaps after Genty went down and has 119 preseason yards, including a 53-yard run. His ADP is around 128, and that's too late for this guy right now.
All right, moving along here, we got Christian McCaffrey has been held out of practice with muscle tightness. However, his lack of action apparently has been part of the plan all along, according to the lying San Francisco coaching staff and beat reporters who really have no idea what's going on tell us falsities
Tightness.
all the time. I
Tightness.
digress. I digress. Kenneth Walker, Texas Ranger, was held out of Wednesday's practice. He's dealing with swelling in his right ankle. However, all indications are that the Super Bowl MVP running back will be on the field for the Chiefs opener. And Josh Jacobs has returned to practice after dealing with a groin injury. However, there's still potential for a looming suspension. And earlier on Thursday, formal charges were filed. 2 misdemeanor domestic violence type charges were filed. So I don't know if that makes it less or more likely. Nonetheless, there's just another another notch in the story here. But he's healthy, which is good. Potential for suspension, and the team is like, we're ready either way, which means they're not looking to fight anything, or they're planning to potentially, maybe, that's a weird combination of words, potentially maybe not have Josh Jacobs.
There you go. There you go. Okay. With McCaffrey, the scare is over, and also the discount that came with it. So locked in as an RB1 who led the league with 413 touches last year. What's still true, though, is that he's 30 years old, not on a non-guaranteed deal in a contract year, and the 2024 calf precedent is real. So, but nothing in the last week, like you said, supports fading him. Who we got? Kenneth Walker. Ooh, my guy, Kenneth Walker. The opportunity here is enormous and undersold. Kansas City ranked 24th in rushing last season. Pacheco and Hunt combined for exactly 1 run over 20 yards, dead last in the league, and both are gone. Walker's the unquestionable lead back here, with Mahomes back under center and a real shot at the team's first 1,000-yard rusher since 2017. Rookie Emmett Johnson is the handcuff if you are interested in Kenneth Walker. But like we said about Patrick Mahomes, the O-line has some work to be done. We got Josh Jacobs. Ooh,
Yep.
ooh, domestic. Okay. I don't know. I don't really have anything on. I don't really talk about this stuff.
I
But
will say, regardless of for Josh Jacobs, separating personal feelings about what he may or may not have done. Obviously, we're just talking about the football aspect here. People are really down on him. He's going in the 3rd and 4th rounds. Even if he has a suspension, I personally don't think it's going to be more than 2 games. If I'm wrong, it's going to be 4, which I don't think it's going to be an 8-game suspension. But I'm going by feeling here and what I see as precedent. But again, I'm not in the know on that. But nonetheless, it's not going to be like he's going to miss half the season. And if you can get a guy like this in the late 3rd, 4th round, feelings aside, that is a value. He's always usually a late 2nd round pick, and he brings you a RB1 upside almost every year, especially since he's been with Green Bay. But with this price decrease, I would say just pick up a backup. Marshawn Lloyd's going to be the backup this time around. They have if he's healthy, he's going to get the first crack at it, but it's going to be a Jacobs or Lloyd. Get them both, and you have the Green Bay Packers running back, regardless of who's in or out.
Exactly. Green Bay lost Emmanuel Wilson to free agency, so they've got really thin depth, unproven thin depth behind Lloyd. Behind Wilson. So you're absolutely right. Emmanuel Wilson is a way to go.
All right, I'm going to finish up with our last, looks like 5 guys here, so we'll put this in one group here. Travion Henderson, who's really been behind Ramondre Stevenson in terms of first team reps all offseason, suffered an undisclosed injury and has been held out of practice this week. Like I said, this adds up to that fact that he's been behind Stevenson, as Stevenson is going to be one of our risers most likely in next week's show, and Travion Henderson is going to be a faller here. Regardless of the injury, the buzz has been negative surrounding Travion Henderson. And then we're going to the Commanders' backfield. Both these guys are banged up. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and Rachaad White. They've been getting limited work, each of them, or doing individual drills, not full practices. This is a will he, won't he kind of thing. I don't know which way to go. The buzz was all about Krosky-Merritt because Rachaad White's been dealing with an injury for a longer period of time. But with Merritt now popped up on the injury report here, this is going to be very interesting heading into week 1. And Kyle Monangai is dealing with a knee injury that's keeping me out week to week. I don't expect him to be ready I don't expect him to be ready by week 1, but even so, he definitely will not have a major role. DeAndre Swift is primed to be a bell cow running back to start the season for the Bears.
Yeah. Okay. Where do we start here with Travion Henderson here? I'll make this kind of short because we got double up on these guys here. Draft him for explosive upside only, not workload. Okay. The Patriots, they built a brand new facility, and the grass on the lower field is apparently an ice rink. AJ Brown fell running a route. Henderson tweaked an ankle cutting. So that's really not an injury report, man. That's a maintenance ticket that's going on up there. As far as Stevenson goes, um, he's got. If you want New England rushing production at a discount, it's him, but he's not the guy going 3 rounds earlier. Um, Krusky Merritt, he's the favorite for early down work, which sounds better than it is. He's a, I don't know, volume dependent RB3 with upside is what I think. Rashad White, on the other hand, here, he's the pass down role. He's got a capped ceiling. If Krusky Merritt's pass protection stays a problem, then White's the one who's going to be playing on third down. Did you get into the Monungai? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Stash, he's not a starter. Salvon Ahmed and Roshad Johnson split the interim work. And Ahmed had a preseason highlight of 72 yards, including a 49-yard screen touchdown. Monungai's real value is as DeAndre Swift's handcuffed. So, and Swift's groin it was called chronic last season. So that's a possible injury that will pop up at any point.
All right, moving on to our tight ends. We've got Tyler Warren, has still not returned to practice following that groin injury he sustained last week, although he is expected to return and be ready by week 1. Tucker Kraft, cheese.
It's gonna be May.
Wrong button.
I was going to say, what?
Let's try this one.
Cheese.
There it is. I wrote the wrong thing down. All right. Tucker Kraft Cheese has begun practicing in full this week and is trending towards being available for week 1. He says, snap count, schmap count. He's looking to get full go here. However, Jonnu Smith was just signed to a 1-year deal to join the Green Bay Packers. Some people are thinking that's more of a Musgrave replacement, the backup tight end, as opposed to Tucker Kraft. However, got to keep an eye on that as well. We'll just go through all these at one shot here. Sam Laporta, the defensive tight end, suffered a hip injury. It was deemed to be a little more serious when it happened, but he has returned to practice. And Kenyon Sadiq, combine superstar New York Jets rookie tight end, is still recovering from that offseason hernia surgery, and he is unlikely to have a big role, at least to start the season. What do you have on these tight ends?
All right, Mr. Tyler Warren, no change here. Like you said, this is a precautionary handling of a mild strain in the last week of August, and the volume case is untouched. 76 catches on 112 targets as a rookie. Michael Pittman Jr. traded to Pittsburgh. Alec Pierce having missed all of camp, which we'll get into. Warren, Josh Downs, and Keenan Allen split the passing game that lost its most targeted receiver, and Warren gets the biggest piece here. Top tier tight end 1 here. Why am I not moving? Okay, there we go. Tucker Kraft. The one thing to know is Kraft said he expects the Packers to limit his reps probably until halfway through the season, though he hopes to be off of a pitch count for week 1 against Minnesota. That's the real drag on the weekly ceiling, even with obvious talent. So before the injury, he led the NFL in tight end in yards after catch at 15.3. But he still led the team despite missing half the year here. I don't really know what to do about Tucker Kraft. So maybe you got some insight later. Laporta, buy the dip if there's still one. Okay. The hip scare drove his price way down, and it appears to be resolved. The real question is whether the version that produced 86 catches as a rookie comes back after surgery. He was at 40 catches in 9 games before the injury last year, with Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra ahead of him in the pecking order. So solid tight end 1, but not elite tight end 1. And Mr. Sadiq, Raphael Sadiq, that's a guy, right? Not a week 1 asset. The athletic profile is absurd. Fastest tight end in the 40 since 2003, Big Ten tight end of the year. He's got all the accolades. Late round stash, maybe. Is really nothing. Nobody's drafted him right now, so I wouldn't worry about it that too much. Go Jets.
I will say, you asked about what to do with Tucker Kraft. He's one of those guys. People have him as their 4th, 5th tight end on their board. Other people have him as 10 or 15.
Yeah.
someone's going to take him early. It might not be,
Yeah.
you know, all you need is one manager to draft, you know, to have someone ranked high. I don't know if he's going to be worth it or not. He may. I'm not saying he isn't, but I'm saying don't be surprised when he's the 4th tight end off the board.
Exactly. And then you don't have to worry about it.
I forgot one thing here in terms of running back. It's important, but not important, depending on how you look at it here. Isaiah Pacheco has been dealing with injuries all training camp. He had another one either today or yesterday, Wednesday or Thursday. He looks like he's not going to be ready for week 1, or it's going to be an uphill battle at least. It was already all systems go for Jahmyr Gibbs, but nonetheless, this just takes any chance of even getting spelled. He's going to get 98% of the carries, will Jahmyr Gibbs.
All I got to say about that is go Gibbs.
All right. Moving on to our wide receivers. We got Kayshon Boutte.
Booty, right everywhere.
Kayshon
Booty. Get it together and bring it back to.
Kayshon Boutte is out of the shadow of A.J. Brown, was traded to the Texans, who did need some wide receiver help here with the injury to Jaden Higgins. We'll do 3 or 4 at a time here again, Bernie.
Yep.
Jamar Chase had a bit of a scare. If you saw the video, he jammed his knee, a minor hyperextension. He says he's fine. Could have gone back in, but they were just being taking precautions with him. Puka Nacua, man, this guy has not practiced in quite a long time. It's been almost 2 weeks of missing practice, and he too has that potential looming suspension. I had him all things even in a vacuum ranked number 1, but when it comes to draft day, there's no way I can take him as the number 1 receiver with this question marks with health and or suspensions. And on a side note here, I don't think you have this one here, but Tutu Atwell was traded back to the Rams. I don't know if that's an indication of Puka Nacua's availability or not. But just to know they did bring in some reinforcements on the receiver room. We'll start with these 4 guys here. Boutte got traded. Jamar Chase and Puka Nacua, our 1 and 2 receivers, are dealing with some injuries more, worrisome than others. And Tutu Atwell is back. Not a big deal, but just a familiar face back in that room.
Yeah. Boutte is a legitimate value bump here. Like you said, Houston lost Jaden Higgins for the season. Boutte walks into a real target vacancy with CJ Stroud throwing. So maybe not a starter, but a late round flyer who just got into a much better situation than he had a week ago. What was that here? Jamar Chase, no change. First round pick, full stop. Okay. Let's not kid anyone. If anyone in your league watched the video and got nervous, that's your opening. Pick him up. No, All right. Puka Nacua. The mechanics haven't changed. The personnel conduct policy doesn't require charges or a conviction, so there's no deadline. We've discussed this before. So you're drafting an unresolved variable, and you should price it in that way, just like you said. If you have him as the number 1 receiver off the board, you can't. You got to move somebody else in that spot.
All right, moving along here. Chris Olave exited practice on Tuesday after a hard fall. It was said that he had the wind knocked out of him, and he should be fine. And Malik Neighbors.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Hold on.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Sorry about that little glitch there. Malik, won't you be my?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Has shed the non-contact jersey and is trending towards playing in week 1. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a big-time riser potentially if this news holds. Luther Burden, who has been sidelined with a groin injury, did get back on the practice field as light practice on Wednesday. I think you had a little more involvement on the Thursday practice here. And Emeka Ibuka is still not practicing after sustaining that toe injury over 2 weeks ago. There hasn't really been any updates on him other than he has been practicing. Not sure if his outlook heading into the season here. All right, what do you have on most of these guys just had scares here, but Olave, Neighbors, good news, Luther Burden, and Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah. So Olave's own durability history is not spotless. Wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside if Show takes a snap. Neighbors draft him. Being out of a red jersey is the milestone that matters here. He should command the vast majority of New York's targets with Jackson Dart. I don't know what else here. Darius Slayton is the short-term beneficiary, though, if there are any issues, if he's limited. Luther Burden, the breakout candidate worth actually buying. DJ Moore is in Buffalo, so the targets are there. And Burden was one of the most efficient rookie receivers in the league last year. 47 catches, 652 yards, and exploiting his Week 10 on production over the full season makes him a 1,000-yard receiver. He was challenging Rome Odunze for the number one job before the injury. The only thing I would say was Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams, they go out to, the melting pot once a week because they're buds. So that's something to look at. Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver 21. This is a player that could possibly be in the top 10. He is the number one target post the Mike Evans offense with Chris Godwin, and Jalen McMillan's been out for 2 weeks with a knee. So, turf toe it should linger, and that's an issue if it does linger. I would be real hesitant. I was high on him. I had him circled a couple times on my personal draft board, so I'm going in cautiously now.
All right, well, we got 5 left. I'm going to talk this one guy by himself and then finish off with a group of 4 at the end here because Mike Evans is very interesting here. He's been dealing with reoccurring soft tissue issues, keeping him in and out of practice most of the offseason. The last report says that Evans plans to play in week 1. All right, is this more San Francisco foolery here? He literally gets on the field, leaves after 20 minutes, misses a day, and comes back. Is this just managing a veteran, or is this an aging person really showing his age, and these are true spasms and on-off issues with his legs?
11 straight 1,000-yard seasons, tied with Jerry Rice for the record.
Until last year.
He signs with Rice's old team and immediately can't go through in August without something new getting wrapped. The universe has a sense of humor about legacy. That's all I got to say about that. If you're drafting Mike Evans, then he is your wingback mountain.
I had him ranked high, but starting a couple weeks ago, but just it's like when it comes down to same thing with Ibuka for you, it's like I had him, I was going to target him, but at a certain point it's like, I can find somebody else. I really don't want to be the one to take this chance.
Yeah, he's had almost no practice time with Brock Purdy. So
Right.
I think the chemistry is the actual problem that's going to be here, not the groin. Last season's hamstring and clavicle injuries ended his 11-game streak, like you said. So he's a touchdown dependent wide receiver 3 at best.
All right, moving along here, we got Brian Thomas Jr. left Tuesday's practice with a scare as he suffered a shoulder injury. The team is going to play it safe with a third-year receiver, but all indications are he should be fine. DK Metcalf has been out of practice for the last since early August. However, he restructured his deal. I think he must have got back. I'm not sure if he got back on the field or not, but I'm assuming if they restructured his deal, he's looking to get back on the field here. Josh Downs has been dealing with a reoccurring leg muscle issue as well, keeping him out of practice. The ailments are considered to be minor, but they're similar to Mike Evans. They just keep reoccurring in different parts here, making way for a reason to sign Keenan Allen, for example. And then Alec Pierce, just today, has been activated. Alec Pierce has finally been activated off that PUP list, and he is aiming for a week 1 return. He's got a lot of catching up to. He has not been running with the team at all this entire offseason, so we'll see about that. What do you have on these last guys? Most of these are scares, and good news for Alec Pierce. At least he's getting back on the practice field.
Yeah. All right, Brian Thomas Jr. here. The bounce back buy. He set franchise rookie records with 87 catches, 1,282 yards, and 10 scores in 2024. Then fell to 48 for 707 and 2 touchdowns last year with a bad hand. Even in the down year, defenses double-teamed him. The complication is a crowded room. Parker Washington's trending towards the number 1 role, and Travis Hunter's healthy. But Thomas is the one with the ceiling here. I hope that doesn't help anybody. DK Metcalf, the formation note matters more than the mystery injury. He played just over 14% of the snaps in the slot last season and finished with 59 catches and 850 yards on 99 targets. That's a modest stat line for his talent. So if McCarthy actually gets him easier looks inside with Rodgers throwing in what Rodgers says is his final season, there's upside at his current price. Michael Pittman Jr. is also in that room now, like we're about to tell you. Josh Downs, Underrated. Michael Pittman Jr. is in Pittsburgh. Downs was the unquestioned number one in practice all camp while Pierce was out. And he's moving outside for the first time. He caught 58 of 88 targets for 566 and 4 scores last season, which undersells the role he's in. The Keenan Allen signing eats into it, but makes him still a solid wide receiver 3 in a PPR league. All right, and last but not least, Mr. Pierce, the 4-game pup risk is gone, like you said, which was the main thing capping his price. He's on a 4-year, $114 million deal as a designated number one. Put up 47 catches for 1,003 yards last season, and he has led the NFL in yards per catch twice, 18.7 for his career. The catch, though, 0 practice reps, and a physical therapist publicly flagged a compensation pattern in his left knee worth watching. Big play wide receiver 3 with real September rust risk. Say that
All right,
fast.
going through all that news there, literally, I would say most of it's pretty good news to even news here. We've had some scares with guys that are going to be okay. Ashton Genty was one of those guys. That was the biggest scare who's going to end up being okay. And most of the other guys who are out for a month or so are the backups, which just make more way for like the DeAndre Swifts and the Jahmyr Gibbs here. So all in all, it's been frustrating news this offseason, but really not too bad. And again, most of these teams do rest these guys a lot, so it's hard to say how much of this is cover to just keep guys out of practice. That's the hard part to decipher here. So good news that at least our big time players are have avoided the scares that we saw on the tape, have avoided long-term injuries.
There you go.
All right, guys, now it's time to get into our draft day strategies. First of all, it starts with your pre-draft prep. We're going to just kind of talk this out here a little bit, Bernie. I don't know if I'm going to go in the order here.
Wait, Mikey, where's the fancy intro?
What?
Where's the intro graphics?
I don't have an intro graphic for this, man. Here's my intro graphic. Pre-draft prep. Wingman fantasy football. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to start off. I'm a big proponent of mock drafts, although I haven't, because I'm busy setting this show up here and doing this. I really don't get to them until about 4 days before we actually do draft. At this point, we're going to get our draft drawing done the next couple of days. So I figure why start now until I know where I'm drafting from. What's your philosophy anyway, in terms of how often or how you do mock drafts?
Yeah. So let's break this down here. Okay. And full disclaimer, I am telling the actual stuff. I'm not trying to blow smoke and mirrors and do all that fancy stuff. My brain's not there. Do 3 mock drafts. Okay. Listen up, people. 3 mock drafts. And it's not to find your team. So it's to learn the rhythm. Watch when positions start disappearing. That's the only thing you learn from a mock draft.
I will say, once I get going and have time, I'll repeatedly do several over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then you'll start getting used to taking guys, and then you almost assume you're going to get them. And when the draft day comes and it doesn't happen the way you practice it, I guess, you're a little bit on tilt because I get this guy 8 out of 10 drafts. So I'm almost, I wouldn't have thought that otherwise, but I'm almost thinking less is more. Get what you need to get. Don't over prepare in that regard there, because you might get locked in on guys you expect to get that you may not actually get.
Exactly. One more thing for our league, set your draft to 14 teams. A 12-team mock draft teaches you the wrong timing and will leave you around late on everything.
You stole my tip and trick, but thanks for that, Bernie. I'm just kidding. All right. In terms of pre-draft prep here, how diverse or how big are your tiers when it comes to positions? And if you're sticking with quarterback, do you have is it different for each position, or do you kind of have like a top 3 to 5 and then you go 5 to 12 kind of thing? Like are your quarterback ones, you have an elite quarterback one and a secondary quarterback one, or is it just all over the place?
Yeah. It's okay. So the tiers are broken down by position before like the weeks building up, like the shows that we did.
Right.
And then as we get closer to the shows, I start grouping them together. I will either use a color system to indicate in the master tier list positioning, or I will always just reference 2 sheets. I haven't decided yet. Before I was referencing 2 sheets, and I might stick with that. The color thing is something that I'm playing with, but that requires highlighters, and it just seems a little messier, so I don't know yet. Um, but yeah, creating the tiers is a big deal for me. That's something that you have to do just because you got to take the best player available. That it really is. Which position are you looking at? If your league only requires one player in that position, then you need to take the tier. The best player available doesn't work anymore because in a 14 team league, it's going to go thin very quickly.
Right. When you set up your tiers, do you consider everyone in there equal? Like you're fine with any one of those 5, 6, 7 guys that in a group, or you're kind of like, I really want one of the top 2 and the bottom 3. I'll take them, but I don't really want them.
No, yeah, you group players into clusters, into tiers, at roughly equal value. So the list tells you who's next. The tier tells you whether waiting costs you anything.
Right,
So
right,
use the tier, not necessarily the ranked list. Now, obviously, we all have our nuances.
right.
I typically don't want to draft anybody in the AFC East that's not a Dolphin, and this year, not a Dolphin. Um,
That is a
just because
dolphin. That is a
right.
dolphin.
No, yeah, I don't want anybody from the AFC East this
Right.
year, if I can help it. Obviously, I wanna win, but I'm also a fan, and I don't wanna root for Josh Allen. So, it's tricky, and everybody will have their own nuances, but yes, not ranked. That tier group is the rank. Anybody in that tier group works. They're so close, the points don't sway that far off.
Yeah, some people I've heard, they're like, as long as I get someone in this group, I'm cool. I don't care who it is. And people are, and I really do like this 1 or 2 guys better than these other 3. And I really do get upset even if I get someone in a particular tier. It's kind of like, that's not really the one I wanted.
Yeah, that's why our next segment is a wingback Mount Rushmore for you.
There you go. All right. Our next one. All right. So we have our tiers in terms of each
Mhm.
position. How do you bring those together into a master list of sorts? Do you usually have the same position on top all the time? Is it like for example, like when I sort my positions, I always put my first running back tier is the top of my master list, and I usually go running back, receiver until eventually I find the quarterback filters into a little better value.
I break it down by rounds. So like let's just say rounds of 1 through 4, take the best player on the board regardless of position, leaning towards receivers and elite running backs. These picks are your team basically. Don't reach for a need this early in the first 4 rounds. Needs don't exist yet.
Right, right.
Yeah. So each set of rounds, 1 through 4, 5 through 7, 8 through 11, 12 through 14, and then 15 and 16 all have a designation for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we've got our pre-draft prep ready to go. Now, here is the day. We are on the clock. It is draft day, boys and girls, and we have our hopes and our needs. And let's see here. How low? I'm going to ask you, Bernie. How low
Yep.
of a positional, a position number one? When I mean like a top 12 running back, for example. How
Mhm.
low do you go down before you start looking at a top of a different position? So what I mean by that is, do you, if you were, I'm
Mhm.
putting something
Yeah.
into you that's not yours necessarily. If you're like, I need an RB1, but you're now all running backs have been gone 8 in a row, and you're going to take the ninth one. How are likely are you to switch to go to I want a top 3 receiver here instead of a ninth running back, even though they're both a positional one, a
Yeah.
top 12 at their position, if that makes any sense.
Okay. For our draft specifically, tell me what round I'm in, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
Round 2.
I'm going to take the best player on the board.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair
If I
enough.
go to round 5 through 7, I start shaping the roster there. I'll fill out the roster. I'll add running back depth. I'll take a tight end if a good one is still there. Upside over safety at every equal value or every equal price. So once rounds 1 through 4 go, best player off the board, then I start filling in as needed. Starting in round 5 through 7.
Well, I will say, I don't like if I have to some degree, I don't like
Mhm.
lagging behind my opponents regardless. So if just say the first 5 running backs went off the board, at this
Mhm.
point, I'm already behind them, even if I take the 6th running back. let me
Yeah.
find an advantage somewhere else. That's about the time, for example. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, which exact number, but I'm going to switch to take a number one tight end there and just
Mhm.
realize I'm not going to have the best running back combination for my team. Maybe I can have a best, 2-3 running back better than theirs later, but I'd
Yeah.
rather be ahead at a position. That's why I'm not afraid to switch. I don't take quarterbacks early. When I say early, I mean second round. But
Yeah.
I'm willing to switch over there because I'd rather have an elite at another position than the 14th guy at a different position. So I like to get the highest ranking of every position I can, and if I can't do it because I've been taken, I'm switching positions. I'm zigging and zagging that way, and it'll come back around. I hope as the time goes around.
Right, right, and I totally get that. So just for a point of reference, right? In my running back rankings, I know in our running back show we didn't go through a tier system. We did our little categories, but in my running back ranking, 1 through 4 is my tier one. I know you have micro tiers, so you've got a little bit smaller. Tier two is 5 through 11. Tier three is 12 through 20. So the tiers start to get bigger and bigger. If I'm in tier 3 running backs left on the board, I'm really not too concerned because if I'm looking at the next tier down, I'm like, "Oh, am I gonna get, Cam Skattebo, Travis, Etienne Jr., or am I going to the next round and I'm getting, Jalen Warren or Bashal Tutin or David Montgomery?" Like, there's not a huge swing there for me
Right.
between those guys, so
Right. It
if
sounds
that
like
makes
you're
sense.
yeah, yeah, it sounds like you're more agnostic than I am. I get
Yeah,
really hung up on the guys I really want.
yeah,
Now, you kind of mentioned already, first 4 rounds, you're going to take best player available regardless of position. So I'm going to bring this out to the fifth round.
yep.
Uh, in terms of getting through your first 5 rounds of picks, do you have a ratio preference? Like, I really want my 2 running backs. Now, keep in mind, in our league, we only have to play 1 running back as we use a flex to take over that secondary running back spot if you need it. So that really does help with, or at least change your needs when it comes to it. But what type of ratio are you looking at through 5 rounds? Are you looking to have a tight end or quarterback by fifth round, or are you just going to play with the ball receivers and ball runners?
There's lots of nuances, right?
Yeah.
Draft position. If you are number 14 in draft position, you get the turn, but you get 2 solid players at that turn. Um, so in that case, I know it's not coming back around to me for a long time. So I might go RB, RB, top wide receiver at the turn at 14, as opposed to if I'm the 6th pick in the draft or the 7th pick, somewhere in the middle. I might go ahead and double up on wide receivers because I know the top tier running backs are going to be off the board. If this top 6 running backs are off the board, I'm getting the top 2 receivers at that point. Um, so it really depends on draft position and what the run seems to be like for that strategy to kind of play out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I will say, in terms of me, I really don't care what position. I just like best player
Mhm.
available based on the
Yeah.
tiers that I have, and I'm okay zigging and taking a quarterback. I don't need to either. There's been times where I won't take a receiver till round 8, and just because the running backs are just on top of my list there, because the wide receivers on early. I'm not taking a wide receiver 3 where I thought a wide receiver 2 would go just because I'm late. I'm gonna load up on other positions that I think have more quality, maybe not value, because it does depend on your roster. And I'm
Yeah.
willing to see who rise of the cream of rise to the top there once the season starts. Can always make trades and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't mind having a deficiency at a position. I don't need to be balanced personally. It's nice to be balanced, but one
Mhm.
injury messes up your balance. If you have a really strong strength at running back, you got 3 of them, and one gets hurt, you still got 2. And if you have a deficiency at, say, wide receiver, every week you get kind of used to what you're looking for. I'm looking
Yeah.
for a wide receiver every week. I'm looking, or a running, depending on where if you're balanced, like, oh, this week I got to look for a receiver. Next week I got to look for a running back. But if you've been on the same position for 3 weeks in a row, you kind of start to get a little better idea of what really works because you've been really studying that hole on your team for a little bit longer. And I feel like I tend to over time fill those holes, even though they seem huge after the draft. I'm able to fill them up a little better as the season moves along.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. That's like it's a good strategy.
All right, let's see here. Do you have? We mentioned before on the
Mhm.
wingback mountain that you don't usually pick quarterbacks till 8th round or later. Is that just is that a strategy of yours? When are you looking to
Yeah.
look to eye the quarterback position?
Yeah, no, that is it. 8 rounds, 8 through 11. I hope the viewers watching that are in my league, you better start taking notes here. That's my quarterback window. I take one, then take a second round, a round or two later, and then just keep adding receivers and backs with real paths to volume through rounds 8 through 11. But eight is my starting spot for. Let's see which quarterbacks are on the board still.
All right. And similar with tight ends here, most people
Mhm.
say the strategy for tight ends is great or late. Really, there's only 3 that I really like. There's 6 that are okay, but it's one of those things like if you don't get one of those top 2 guys, honestly, if you don't take Bowers or McBride, are you looking for those middle guys, those Laportas, for example, the Isaiah Likely's? Or are you just going to wait till the end of your draft to fill that position? Especially this year, it's going to be a very
Yeah.
valuable position for us.
Yeah, so tight end for me it's not inflated here for me. It's one slot, and the flex rarely goes to a tight end here. So either I'll get one with a few, get one of the few that scores like a receiver, or I'll wait a really long time and get a cheap one. I think the middle of the tight end uh, rankings is a trap. You're
I
gonna you're gonna miss
agree.
out on some other valuable players.
Right, right. And it bears out over and over again. Usually the scoring differential from tight end 5 to 12 is pretty much identical. And
Yep.
guys who are drafted late in the draft tend to be just as many of the guys who fill in that 6 to whatever number I said,
Yep.
5 to 12 range. There's just as many drafted after round 12 that there are drafted in round 7 or 8.
Exactly.
All right, guys. All right, now it's time to get in some tips and tricks. Tips and tricks.
Or quirks for jerks.
All right, Bernie, we're okay on time, but we're going to pick up the pace here. I've got
Yep.
2. How many tips and tricks do you have, if any?
I can have as many as you'd like, Michael.
Well, I'm going to go quickly.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, mock draft with larger league sizes than you're playing in. Yahoo caps it at 14, which is the size of our league, so you can't get bigger. But if you're playing in a 10-team league, do a 12-team mock draft. It'll make up for those Yahoos who do garbage picks just to mess up with to troll people. It'll also take those guys the auto picks who take kickers in round 6. It'll at least keep you on schedule there, and you'd be surprised you might get 2 of those guys who go in round 3. Say in a 12-team draft. If you're in a 10-team, you might get both of them in 3 and 4. So draft in larger league sizes in terms of mock drafts than your actual league if you can find it.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a mistake that our league punishes: drafting a defense or kicker before the last 2 rounds. The scoring is flattened so hard that you're trading a real player for almost nothing. So don't do that.
All right. I got another tip here. You kind of mentioned it last week, or you tried not to. You seem to really be afraid to let our listeners know here. But I'm going to tell you this,
IR.
guys, right now, in terms of draft, when you're actually drafting, if your league has an IR spot, draft an IR eligible player. Don't wait till after the fact, because if you don't draft someone who can go on your IR in the draft, you're going to have to wait for a healthy player to get hurt on your team, or you're going to have to drop a healthy player to pick up a hurt player to put into your IR and then hope that you can get that player back. Your last pick even if it's your last pick in the draft, target anyone. It could be in years past, Nick Chubb, for example. Like it might be a 7th round pick in the IR. It doesn't be that high, but draft an IR player, and then right when the draft's over, put him in the IR. And when waivers start, 1 or 2 days after, you're already going to have a space to pick up somebody. Draft someone who's hurt on opening in your draft.
Yeah, I 100% there. All right, I got another mistake for you here. Okay, reaching for a quarterback in the middle rounds here. With our league, with 4-point passing touchdowns and no turnover penalties, the position is also flatline. Paying up for it is the most common new manager mistake there is.
All right. All right, we're going to move along here. We're getting to our mailbag, our first mailbag of the season.
You've got mail. Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag! All right, this first one comes in from Andrew F423. He says, great to see you guys back for 2026. Great stuff. I just want to say thank you, Andrew. F423. I appreciate the comment and the support here. He was also one of our Wingman Jam winners last year, so he got his t-shirt. Don't forget, we have those games going on. We have another one here. This one's from Michael J. It says, when is the draft drawing for the Wingman Fantasy Football League? Well, for you guys following along here, we're going to do the drawing on Saturday, this Saturday. I'm not sure what date that is, like the 30th or so. And it's going to be approximately at 2:30. That's just family availability here. My assistant Zoe is going to help me draw the names and numbers since Austin's going to be in the league. He can't touch the official records here this time. So Zoe's going to be my draft drawing. I'm maybe going to try and live stream. Last time didn't go particularly well, but my computer's been working really good lately. I'm hoping for the best here. Maybe we'll do a live stream of the drawing for those interested here. Do you have any? I've got a couple more. I just want to pass it to you before hogging. Do you have any mail that came in?
No mail that came in for me. Just some internet troll or something always asking to reduce the roster spots. I don't know what that is. Like you played the league last year, it was the same setup as far as the roster count. So yeah, we're not. I don't think the commissioner is going to do that. So just stop.
Thank you. All right, I got a couple more here real quick. I didn't put it up for a vote, Burn. You mentioned it, but I have one idea that I think is going to pass easy in terms of, loser punishments. Last place teams that might have to face some sort of punishment from the league for finishing in last place. Again, we're a little short on time. What's your thoughts on it? I'm going to tell you what my compromise is this year since we don't have a great chance to really talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's the same set of people that play every year. We need to have some sort of victory parade for the winner and some sort of losers lounge for the last place team.
So I was thinking, usually I want to get these done before the draft orders drawn because you don't want people making potential punishments knowing like, well, I'm drafting last. Like I don't want a punishment next year. So my thought was do one that's not really related to the upcoming season. Maybe on our draft day, the last place person from the year prior is the beer bee for the champion all day long at the draft day party. And as it goes on that way, the bad news is our person who left was last place. Lionized was left. So we have a new player who's going to take their place. They've already said they'll do it. They'll be the beer bee. But when Sir Lionized does show up post-draft, they're going to have to be the beer. They don't know this. They're going to find out. They're going to be the beer bee for both the champion and the new player. They're not getting out of this one. So what do you think about the I feel like that's kind of tame. No embarrassment. Just have to take care and service the champion in terms of getting their beverages and our food for the day.
Yeah. I think that he'd be okay with that. As long as we give him a little special, like, thanks for being our friend.
Thank you.
Sentiment.
That sounds good. Yeah, he'll get a nice punch on the shoulder, and then he'll have to drinks for everybody. All right, I got one more thing here in terms of mailbag. This one comes in from, I don't know, let's just say anonymous. This one comes in from anonymous. It says, hey, we saw those Wingman Jam shirts you gave out for winning those challenges last year. Do you have any merch for sale? Well, do I? Not officially, of course, but I did design a new shirt last night. I ordered it myself. It won't be here in time for draft day, unfortunately. It's the, what does it say? I can't read. It's really small. May your glasses be full and your mug stay frosty drink. And the way we're doing it here, I'm not buying thousands of shirts, but they will be available to order on demand here, and they'll come to you in a couple weeks. So if you're interested, I'll get a shop up there at some point with some shirts there for people who are interested to buy. I don't make any money off it, so I'm going to charge you exactly what I would pay for it. So just a thought there. What do you think about this shirt, Bernie? I'm going to maybe put I'm Cuban B or something like that for a shirt for you.
No, I like it. I think it's great. I think yeah, I like it. I'm not gonna get too involved in it, but yes, it's good.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, Bernie. We are just about out of time here. So I want to thank everyone for watching and or listening to another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. Don't forget you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and the Odyssey app. Of course, you can also find us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Wingman Fantasy Football. When you get over there, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and we'll get you into our next mailbag segment. A little heads up, our next show will be our mock draft, so go ahead and feel free to join us for that. get your prep in ready, and see what the industry leaders are doing when it comes to draft order. With that being said, guys, thanks again for joining us. May your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And may your rankings age better than mine, and your grudges age worse than Mike's.
Oh, lionized. All right.